So this is the format of material, Nana. Once you have received the material, I will explain, okay, what are the things that are contained in it. So before starting this chapter, so these are list of chapters that we have here. So this time we want to start with national income accounting and Keynesian theory. This is the first two chapters, Nana. Earlier we used to start with fiscal functions, fiscal policies and market failure. But unfortunately, there are some topics which are covered in fiscal policy, and in order to understand those topics, you should be thorough with national income and Keynesian theory. So last time we faced this problem when it comes to one or two topics, Nana. So what we used to do, Nana, after explaining Keynesian theory, again we used to go back to fiscal policy and explain those topics. So in order to avoid such kind of problem this time, we are starting with national income and Keynesian theory. But for your batch, we'll start with exchange rate and its economic effect. Then after international capital movements, Nana. And if time permits, then we will start with chapter number 1. Okay, am I clear, Ra? Right, Nana. So let us see the weightage. That is the most important aspect of this subject, Nana. So you can see a sheet has been given to you where we have given how many marks are covered from each chapter in each examination or in each attempt. So if you look at national income accounting, Nana, regularly we are getting 7 to 8 marks. Minimum 5 marks, maximum 8 marks. If you look at here, I'm taking last 3 attempts. Okay. So if you look at here, Jan 2021, given from this chapter we got 8 marks, Nana. July 2021, 7 marks. And December 21, 7 marks. So very small chapter. If you're thorough with the chapter, minimum you will get 5 marks, a maximum 7 or 8 marks. So out of 40 marks, you're getting 7 marks from this chapter itself. And very easy to answer also. Material, Nana. Is this page available in that material? Please look it into Nana. Is available, right? I hope everyone have received their materials, Ra. So if you have received your materials, Nana, please open this page. So this page is specifically provided to let you know the importance of each chapter, so that at the time of preparation, you can focus on certain chapters more when compared to other chapters. And you can also decide which chapter to ignore or which chapter to prepare in the last, Nana. So national income accounting, as I have explained, regularly we are getting minimum 7 marks, around minimum 5 to 7 marks, Nana. So Jan 21, we got around 8 marks from this chapter. July 21, 7 marks, and December 21, 7 marks, Nana. Next, the Keynesian theory of determination of national income. From this chapter, in Jan 21, we got 5 marks, July 3 marks, and December 3 marks. Okay. If you are getting more number of marks from national income, we will get less marks from Keynesian theory, because both these units are a set. And if you are getting less number of marks in national income, they has to cover more from Keynesian theory. So both are connected to one another. As I said in the previous class, Nana, the point where we will stop or we will end national income, from there we will start Keynesian theory. Okay. Next, fiscal functions, the least important chapter, as you can clearly see, Nana. We may get a question, we may not get a question. If you get a question, it will be around 2 or 3 marks. Nana. So it's the least important question. So previously we used to start with this chapter. But unfortunately, students used to find it a bit difficult to revise it later on, Nana. Or for students who have missed this chapter, they used to find it a bit difficult to revise it or to go through that chapter because it is completely new to them. Once you have listened to that chapter, you can easily understand. Here we will talk about government functions only. But the students who are new or who are late joining, Nana, they used to find it a bit difficult to go through this chapter. So we have kept it on third, Nana. Next, market failure and government intervention to correct market failure. Lengthy chapter. But when it comes to weightage, you can clearly see in Jan 21, we got only 2 marks. July 21, 5 marks. And December 21, 4 marks. Very lengthy chapter. Around 45 to 52 questions are there in this chapter. Easy but lengthy chapter. Okay, next, fiscal policy. So fiscal policy is a small chapter compared to market failures. As you can see the weightage here. In Jan 21, we got around 7 marks. In July 21, 2 marks. And December 21, 5 marks. So 2 to 5 marks on average. Small chapter related to business cycles. Related to business cycles. Not the entire business cycles, only the expansion and contraction. Only that, Nana. Only that part. Okay, so it is very easy to understand that one also. Next, money markets. It's somewhat new to you. It's not somewhat, it's completely new to you. Okay, here we will learn about basics, Nana, that you have studied in civics or somewhere else, Nana. That is, what is meant by barter system, what is the functions of money, features of money, what can be called as money, okay, what cannot be called as money, why we demand money, what is supply of money, who will supply money, all these things will be covered in money market chapter. As you can see the weightage here, in Jan 21 examination, it is given for 9 marks. In July, 9 marks, right? In July again 9 marks. In December, how many marks, Nana? 15 marks from this chapter. So, if you look at the trend, one of the important chapters. That's why in the previous class I have said, Nana, if you focus on chapter 4, 5, 6, 7, that is the sheet that I have given. That is national income, Keynesian theory, money markets, monetary policy. You can easily answer more than or around 60% of the question paper. So while listening to class also, please focus on it. Money markets can be divided into 3 parts. Nana. Introduction, demand for money, supply of money. That's why it appears to be lengthy one. Money market chapter can again be divided into 3 parts. Introduction, demand for money, supply. Nana, market means what? The place where buyers and sellers come together, right? Market means the place where buyers and sellers, from buyer point of view, we talk about demand. From seller point of view, we talk about supply. Money market means demand for money, supply of money. That is the concept there. So that is money markets. Next, monetary policy. Very easy chapter. CRR, SLR, whatever you have learned in BCK or whatever the minimum knowledge you have, Nana, the same minimum knowledge we will apply here and we will expand it. Okay, so again you can see the weightage when it comes to this monetary policy. 5 marks in Jan 21, July 21 2 marks, and December no weightage because he has asked all the 15 marks from above chapter. Okay, money markets and monetary policy are a unit. So if he is asking more number of marks from money market, he will ask less from monetary policy. Since in December 2021 examination, he has asked around 15 marks from money markets, he hasn't touched monetary policy. Generally, it's a very rare thing that to happen, but generally he will cover both the topics. Okay. Next, theories of international trade. Just like money market, this is also completely new to you. Okay, there are different theories which different economists have given explaining why international trade is much more beneficial than domestic trade. Okay, in that chapter you have around 14 or 15 questions if I'm not wrong. Okay, that material is not given to write. So when you get that material, you can see, Nana. In those 14 or 15 questions, if you focus on 2 theories, you can understand remaining all the theories. Because all the remaining theories are based on these 2 theories itself. Okay, so questions appear to be lengthy because all these are procedural questions. We will take a fictitious example and try to explain the theory. So here when it comes to weightage, is also least important chapter. If you see after fiscal function, this is the least important chapter, Nana. So in Jan, we have no questions. In July, 2 marks is given. And December 2021, no weightage or no questions from this chapter. What is T1, T2, T3? Below it is clearly mentioned, Anna. What is meant by T1, what is meant by T2, and what is meant by 3. T1 means practical questions, scenario based question, nothing but theory questions. They may be asked directly, or he will give an example and he will ask us to answer that example. Now, it can be a direct question or scenario based question. T2 means differences. So there is nothing to learn new things here, Nana. Whatever the theory you have learned, you will write it in differences format, either in table format or point A, point B. So that is T2. T3 means problematic. T3 means problematic, Nana. Next, after that, we have trade policy and trade negotiation. So what is trade policy? What is trade negotiation? So this is an important chapter, Nana. Jan 21, if you see, the weightage given for this chapter is 5 marks. July 21, we got around 9 marks. And December 21, we got around 9 marks, if I'm not wrong. Okay. Next, exchange rate and its economics effect, Nana. So we will start with this chapter. So from this chapter in January, we got how many marks, Nana? 5. If I'm not wrong, it is 5, Nana. And if in July 2021, we got around 4 plus 3, 7 marks. In December, 5 marks. So minimum 5, maximum 7, Nana. In November 2020 also we got around 5 marks. So very easy to understand. I hope you people remember the relationship between demand and supply. How to find out equilibrium point? The point where demand is equal to supply, that point is called as? When demand is greater than supply, what will happen to prices? When demand is greater than supply, what will happen to prices? Increase or decrease? Increases. And when supply is greater than demand, prices? All that entire concept that which you have learned in markets chapter, Nana, we will apply the same concept here also. But here we will use currency term. If demand for currency is more than supply of currency, what will happen to value of currency? If demand for currency is less than supply of currency, what will happen to value of currency? When there is change in demand and supply, how the currency is affected and what sort of impact it will have on the economy. Whether our exports will increase or imports will decrease. So it's a generalized concept. Easy to understand. Okay, so that is exchange rates and its economic effects. And the last chapter is international capital movements. In this chapter, we will study about FDI and FII exclusively. What is FDI? What are the reasons for increase in FDI? What are the reasons for not increasing in FDI? Okay, who are FDI investors? Why they come and invest in our country? Okay, what is difference between FDI and FII? All these things we will cover in this chapter. All these things are known to you people only, but we will use separate terminology here, Nana. And we will use certain definitions given by IMF or OECD. Okay, right, Nana. So we will start with chapter number 10. So exchange rate and its economic effects, Nana. So as I said earlier, everyone should maintain running notes, Nana. So I will be a bit slow. And I will try to connect my running notes with questions, Nana. Okay. So whatever the running notes I have given, I will be writing here. I will try to connect it with our material or questions given in our material. Okay. Right. So let us open the chapter. So these highlights of the material will be explained to you people by Prakash sir himself. Okay. So he will come to the class and he will explain or he will play a video, Nana. Okay. So why our material is important or how to read our, what are the improvements that we have come up with, all these things are covered here. Okay. So recent 2 examinations were also, question papers are also given here, that is December 21 and July 21. Okay. So 2 question papers are given. So if you look at the question paper, without going through the questions, just look at the weightage, Nana. Just look at the weightage. If you look at December 2021 question paper, Nana, apart from one question, I think all the remaining questions are 2 marks or 3 marks questions. I think there should be a 5 marks question. If it is not given, then all the questions are either 2 marks or 3 marks. So 2A is 5 marks, Nana. 2A is 5 marks. Apart from that question, all other questions are 2 marks and 3 marks. Okay. So questions will be asked in a specific manner and a precise manner. And if you are writing that answer in a precise manner, then only you will get marks. If you are giving some vague answer, don't expect to get marks in this paper. For example, 1A, all the data is given. He is asking us to find out currency with public and reserve money. There is a formula for reserve money. Just write down that formula and substitute the values. There is a formula for currency with public. Just write down the formula and substitute the value. That's it. He is expecting only that much from you people. So don't give him vague answers. And whenever you are writing an examination, treat that the evaluator does not know anything. So you have to explain everything in detail. So don't be shy in writing one more point or taking one more step. సిగ్గుపడాల్సిన అవసరమే లేదు. అవసరమైతే ఒక స్టెప్ ఎక్కువ రాయండి, ఒక పాయింట్ ఎక్కువ రాయండి. అంతేగాని డోంట్ కట్ ద కంటెంట్ ఆర్ డోంట్ కట్ ద స్టెప్స్ నానా. యూ మే లూజ్ మార్క్స్. There is nothing wrong in writing more. Relevant. If you are irrelevant and writing more, or if you are irrelevant and writing less, then also you will not get the marks, Nana. So, in the same way, if you look at July 2021 question paper, again, there also all the questions apart from 2A, all the remaining questions are 2 marks and 3 marks. All the questions are 2 marks and 3 marks, Nana. So if you are very thorough, you can complete this subject, that is part B of paper 8, in less than 1 hour. In less than 1 hour. So I am not giving guarantee that you can write the entire 40 marks, Nana, but at least you can write 35 marks in less than 1 hour. And you can be confident about those 35 marks. Out of these 35 marks, I will definitely get 30 marks. Okay, let us start with the chapter. Right, Nana? Exchange rate and its economic effects. So learning objective. In this chapter, what we are going to learn? So exchange rate and how it is determined. What is meant by exchange rate and how we are going to determine exchange rate. Different types of exchange rate regimes. What is meant by regime? I will let you know when time comes, okay? Next, functioning of foreign exchange market. How this market works. See, if you're talking about market, there should be some people who are involved in that market, right? If you're talking about wholesale market, there will be wholesalers, there will be retailers. If you're talking about retail market, there will be retailers and customers. If you're talking about stock market, there will be investors and there will be sellers or shareholders. Isn't it, Nana? So here also, when we are talking about foreign exchange market, there will be some participants in that market. Who are those participants? That we will learn in this chapter. Next, changes in exchange rates and their impact on real economy. When there is change, when there is fluctuation in exchange rate, okay, what sort of impact it will have on the economy? Are you able to understand my language? Is it clear? Okay, so I'm a bit fast while explaining. That's why, in order to control myself, I am giving notes, not for the sake of you people. Okay, right, Nana, let us start with the chapter. Nana, everyone should maintain a running notes. Now, how to change the screen into black ra? చూపించారా అది page color. Okay. So the chapter heading is exchange rates and its economic effects, right? So what sort of impact it will have on economy, that we will see later on. But let us understand what is meant by exchange rate first. Okay. So what is meant by exchange rate? What is meant by exchange rate? Note it down, Nana. Everyone has to maintain running notes and they have to note it down. Okay. Rate at which, Nana, please be silent, ra. Currency of one country is currency of one country is exchanged with currency of another country. So what is meant by exchange rate? So rate at which currency of one country is exchanged with currency of another country, or simply, or in simple language, number of units of one currency per one unit of another currency. Number of units of one currency per one unit of another currency. Example, as of now today, $1 is equal to 74.68 rupees. Is it visible? I will try to somewhat increase the font, Nana, but just give me some time, okay? So example is $1 equal to 74.68 rupees. That means we are converting from dollars to rupees or rupees to dollars. So if you want to buy $1, how much you have to pay in rupees, Nana? 74.68. That means in order to buy one currency, you are paying 74.68 rupees. That means you are converting from one currency to another currency. This is called as exchange rate. This is the rate, Nana. How we will define this rate, that we will see later on. But exchange, it means conversion of one currency into another currency. So while talking about exchange rate, we are talking about one currency or a pair of currency. Nana, when we are discussing about exchange rate, are we discussing only about one currency or two currencies here? Nana, one currency or two currencies? In the example that I have taken, how many currencies are there? Two currencies. That means I am explaining relationship of one currency with relationship of another currency, right? Isn't it? I am explaining relationship of dollar with relationship of rupee. So when we are comparing two currencies, two or more currencies, this is called as relative concept. Relative concept. There are two concepts. One is relative, another one is absolute. If you are not comparing with anyone, that is called as absolute. But whenever you are comparing, it becomes a relative concept. Relative means in relation to. In relation to. So here, as we are comparing two or more currencies or two currencies, it is called as relative concept. So note it down, a relative concept. Since we are comparing two currencies, we are comparing two currencies. Okay, Nana. And what is the example that I have taken? $1 equal to 74.68 rupees. That means the price of $1 is 74.68 rupees. The price of $1 is how much, Nana? 78.68 rupees. Is it clear? Are you able to understand, Nana? So exchange rate means what? In simple language, conversion of one currency into another currency. That means for $1, how many rupees I have to pay? Or to get, or to sell one, if I sell $1, how many rupees I am going to receive? So conversion, number of units of one currency into number of units of another currency is called as exchange rate. Now we have understood the meaning of exchange rate. Why there is a need for exchange rate? What is the reason for exchange rate? The only reason for exchange rate is globalization. See, if we are producing all the goods within our country and if we are consuming the goods that are produced only in our country, then there is no need for exchange rate, right? If we are using the money that is available in India and we are not borrowing from abroad, then also there is no need for exchange rate. For example, when a foreign company wants to sell goods in India, at the time of manufacture, it will calculate in dollars. But when it wants to sell in India, it has to sell in dollars or it has to sell it in rupees. It has to sell it in rupees. That means it has to convert from one currency to another currency. Okay, now, so because of globalization, not only goods are moving from one place to another place, but also money is moving from one country to another country. Example, FDI. Foreigners are coming and investing in India. A US citizen wants to invest in India. A US citizen earns in dollars or rupees? Dollars. But he has to, if he wants to invest in India, he has to invest in rupees. That means at the time of investment also he has to convert from one currency to another currency. Because of this pandemic, Indian economy suffered a lot. Economic government revenue also got affected. So for the time being, what Indian government did, Nana, it borrowed from IMF. IMF is a domestic organization or international organization. So mostly that also deals in dollars. So when India is borrowing from IMF, do we receive rupees or dollars? But if you want to use that in India, you have to convert those dollars into rupees. So the reason for studying exchange rate is globalization. If there is no globalization, there is no need to study exchange rate. Am I clear, Nana? Write it down. Try to write along with me, Nana. Don't expect me to give time, okay? So reason for exchange. There is only one reason, Nana, and that is globalization. That is globalization. So globalization has affected us in three ways. One is movement of goods and services between countries. Next, movement of resources or funds between countries. Here funds, resources means we are talking about funds, Nana. That is nothing but FDI and FII. Between countries and international borrowings. So because of these three reasons, we need exchange of one currency into another currency. So exchange rate is a absolute concept or relative concept? Nana, please be attentive. Exchange rate is an absolute concept or relative concept? Why it is a relative concept? We are here discussing about one currency or two currencies. That means we are comparing one currency with another currency. That's why it is a relative concept. Next, when we are talking about exchange rate, we will try to define the value of one currency in terms of another currency, right? That means $1 equal to how many rupees? That means we are defining the price of dollar in terms of another currency. That is also how written, Nana. And why there is a need for exchange rate? Because of globalization. Globalization resulted in what, Nana? Three things: movement of goods between countries, movement of resources between countries, and international borrowings. We have completed first question and second question also. Am I clear, Nana? Is it? Are you able to understand? Okay, Nana. Next round. Next, when it comes to expressing exchange rate, exchange rate can be expressed or mentioned in two ways. Can be expressed or mentioned in two ways. One is direct quote. Another one is indirect quote. One is direct quote and the one is indirect quote. Exchange rate can be expressed or mentioned in two ways, Anna. One is direct quote and the one is indirect quote. Sir, what is meant by direct quote? It means it got stuck. So direct quote means number of units of domestic currency per 1 unit of foreign currency. Number of units of domestic currency for 1 unit of foreign currency. Nana, here whatever we discuss it from India point of view, Nana. So when we're talking from India point of view, domestic currency is what? Rupee or dollar? Rupees, Nana. So please note it down there itself. So example for easy understanding, I'm writing down an example, Nana. $1 equal to 100 rupees. Okay. $1 equal to, that is direct quote. Direct quote. And most of the time, apart from USA, all other countries use this direct quote. There is a reason for it. And the reason is World War II. And the reason is World War II. Okay, as we have ample time, let us discuss about that one also. Okay, because I have said it right. So what happened at the time of World War II, Nana? The only country that was a bit okay was USA because it is far away from Europe. The only damage which USA had was Pearl Harbor. Okay, that is the only major damage which it suffered from, Nana, during World War II. All the European countries suffered a lot because they were directly in conflict with Germany and other countries, allied countries, Nana. So after World War II was over, Nana, all these European countries and USA, they had a meeting at a resort called Bretton Woods. They had a meeting. See, as you can see, whenever our PM or CM is feeling bored, Nana, they will go to other countries to have a meeting. They will not have a meeting, Nana, they will have something else there. Okay. For the sake of our information, they will say that we had meeting and we had so and so agreements with those countries. So after completion of World War II, all these countries along with USA, they had a meeting in a resort called Bretton Woods. There they came to an understanding. See, the two immediate requirements of European countries first was countries reconstruction, because all these countries got damaged in World War II. So they have to reconstruct. So in order to reconstruct a country, they need funds. So when we are in need of funds, Nana, we will approach bank, right? So when the countries are in need of funds, they should also approach a bank. So for that purpose, they established World Bank. They established World Bank. So in this meeting, they came up, these countries decided to establish World Bank. And to this World Bank, the major contributor will be USA. Okay. And see, countries will get reconstructed by taking loans from World Bank. Now we have to develop trade also. For developing trade also, we need funds. So for that, they established a separate bank called IMF. IMF. I hope you are aware of both these banks, World Bank and IMF. Apart from these two agreements, all these countries, European countries, USA, came to an understanding. See, when we are going for international trade, we should convert from one currency to another currency. That means we should have a base currency. We should have a base currency against which we can compare and we can change our exchange rates. ఒక బేస్ కరెన్సీ ఉండాలి. ఈ కరెన్సీ చేంజ్ అయ్యే కొద్దీ మన కరెన్సీ కూడా చేంజ్ అవుతూ ఉండాలి. So the only country that was a bit economical developed during those days was USA. So they decided to make US dollar as base currency. And they started defining all the currencies against $1. The same thing is being followed by India also. I hope people got the point, Nana. Okay, so this is the effect of World War II. So after World War II, all the countries decided to exchange their currency against dollar. That is called as direct quote. So if you look at the example that I have taken here, $1 equal to 100 rupees. That means India is defining its value against dollar. So the base currency here is what? Dollar. Sir, unable to understand this point, Nana. I can write this equation like this also. Or 100 rupees per dollar. There is nothing wrong between the two. $1 equal to 100 rupees can also be written as 100 rupees per dollar. Is it okay? So which currency is in denominator, Nana? That is called as base currency. And which currency is in numerator? That is called as counter currency. That is called as counter currency. So this is about direct quote. Indirect quote is quite opposite to direct quote. Or the relationship between direct and indirect is inverse. That means direct quote is equal to 1 by indirect quote, or indirect quote is equal to 1 by direct quote. I will note it down, Nana, but before let us write what is meant by indirect quote. Indirect quote means what, Nana? Number of units of foreign currency for 1 unit of domestic currency. So here the example will be 1 rupee is equal to 0.01 dollar. Nothing but this can also be written as $0.01 by 1 rupee. So in case of indirect quote, rupee will become base currency and dollar will become counter currency. Dollar will become counter currency, Nana. And below that, please note it down. Therefore, indirect quote equal to 1 by direct quote. Write down the equation also, Nana. Indirect quote equal to 1 by direct quote. That means there is an inverse relationship between direct quote and indirect. That means if direct quote is given, you can find out indirect quote. If indirect quote is given, you can find out direct quote. How, sir? The relationship is inverse between direct quote and indirect quote. That means indirect quote equal to 1 by direct quote. Okay. And when it comes to direct and indirect, base currency and counter currency. So when it comes to direct quote, what is base currency, Nana? Foreign currency, right? Foreign currency. When it comes to direct quote, what is counter currency, Nana? Domestic currency. There is no need to get confused, Nana. You can simply write an example here. Direct quote means 100 rupees equal to $1. Indirect quote means $0.01 per 1 rupee. And when it comes to indirect quote, what is base currency? Domestic currency. And what is counter currency? Foreign currency. So that's it for the day. Okay, last 5 minutes or so, Nana. So we have completed first 3 questions. Okay, if I'm not wrong, we have completed first 3 questions. I think this will be the strength of your class. There is no possibility of any further increase. After completion of new year, after completion of this year, there may be 1 or 2 only, right? Not very much more, I think. I think there will not be more than 5, if I'm correct, because most of the candidates are already present here. I hope you people have written group 1 examination well. Right? Mimicry. Very well, huh? Very well. So I have written well, but I don't know the valuation, sir. I don't know the result. So if you look at the material, Nana, please open the material, Ra. So who will read the... Okay, people don't have mic, right? So I will read it, Nana, because it will be difficult for online students. So question number 1. Which market transaction determines the price of one currency in terms of another in India? So when it comes to India point of view, when it comes to any other country point of view, when there is a need to convert from one currency to another currency, that is the meaning of that question, Nana. So Below explanation is given. Market transactions involved in determination of price of one currency in terms of another are. So what are the transactions where we need to convert from one currency to another currency? First one, household, businesses, government in India buy different types of goods and services produced in other countries. That means we are talking about exports or imports. From India point of view, exports or imports? Imports, Nana. Similarly, residents of rest of the world buy goods and services from residents in India. That means we are talking about exports. So if there are exports and imports for a continent, that means we have to convert from one currency to another currency. Very good. Next, foreign investors, business and government invest in our country, just as our nationals invest in the country. That means we are talking about foreign investment. It can be FDI or FII, does not matter. Third point, in the same way, lending and borrowing also takes place internationally. So we are borrowing from other governments or other international agencies. Then also we need to convert from one currency to another currency. So in all this, there are several other transactions, but these are the primary reasons because of which we have to convert from one currency to another currency. These and similar other transactions give rise to an international dimension for money. That means money is not restricted to one particular country, Nana. It has an international dimension. Just the form may change. The form or appearance may change. But it is also money. Dollar is also money. Rupee also money, Nana. Which involves exchange of one currency for another. This is about question number 1. Next, Nana. Define the term exchange rate or foreign exchange rate. So what is the meaning of exchange rate? All those things we will learn here. So exchange rate or foreign exchange rate. It refers to money denominated in the currency other than domestic currency. That means when we are expressing value of a good in terms of another currency, rather than our domestic currency, it is called as exchange rate. I hope you people are able to understand, Nana. If you are using other currencies rather than domestic currency, it is called as exchange rate. The exchange rate, also known as foreign exchange or forex or FX rate, is the price of one currency expressed in terms of units of another currency and represents the number of units of one currency that exchanged for 1 unit of another. For example, $1 equal to 100 rupees. If you want $1, you have to pay 100 rupees. That means you are exchanging rupees for dollar. Exchange rate is the rate at which currency of one country exchanges for the currency of another country. 1, 2, 3, all points mean the same. All points mean the same but expressed in a different way, Nana. Characteristics or features of exchange rate. What are its features? It is a relative concept or absolute concept? Every currency has a price, right, in terms of another currency. So all those points are mentioned here. Similar to any other commodity or good, foreign exchange has a price. $1 equal to 100 rupees. That means you have to pay 100 rupees to get $1. That means the price of dollar in terms of rupees is 100. Okay, next. The value of currency is relative as it is always given in terms of another currency. Underline another currency also. When we are expressing value of one good in terms of another good, when we are expressing relationship of one person in terms of another person, it is called as relative concept. In what way that person is related to you? He is my father. In what way that person is related to you? I will what should my answer, Nana? He is my father. That means I am explaining relation between two things, two human beings, Nana ikkada. Am I clear, Ra? So when we are explaining or comparing two things or to more than two, it is called as relative concept. So here also, when it comes to exchange rate, as we are taking two currencies, it is a relative concept. It is the minimum number of units of one country's currency required to purchase 1 unit of another country's currency. So again, the same meaning, Nana. According to our example, if I want to purchase $1, I have to pay 100 rupees. That is the minimum amount. Okay, note. As the US dollar is the dominant currency in global foreign exchange market. Why it is a dominant currency? Because I have given explanation also. And after World War II, it became a dominant currency because all the countries agreed to it, Nana. All the countries agreed to it. Okay. So as US dollar is the dominant currency in the global foreign exchange market, the general convention is to apply direct quote. So from India point of view, what is direct quote, Nana? $1 equal to 100 rupees or 1 rupee equal to $0.01? $1 equal to 100 rupees. So India is also following direct quote. That means we are also expressing the value of rupee in terms of $1. So as it is a dominant currency, it is a general convention to apply direct quote to have US dollar as the base currency and other currencies as counter currency. So if nothing is given, we have to apply direct quote. Okay. In case of direct quote, he will specifically ask, Nana, because here it is clearly given. Generally, what we will follow direct quote. Okay, so this is about question number 2. Let us stop it here, Nana. I have already explained question number 3 also, direct quote, indirect quote. Tomorrow again I will revise, Nana, a bit faster and I will complete around 3 to 4 questions. Okay, so let us try to complete this chapter in this week itself. We have 4 to 5 problems, Nana. We can easily complete. Let us try to do it, Nana. We will see how much time it will take. Okay, am I clear, Ra? So as this is the first class, officially it's the first class, and I have not given time at the end of the period, okay? But from tomorrow onwards, I will give time so that you can revise. And don't be shy while asking doubts. If I know the answer, I will clarify it. If I don't know, Nana, I will find it out and I will let you know later on, okay? Right, thank you, Nana. That's it for the day. Thank you, Ra.